you tell me your name?
Emily.
Sierra.
Okay. What draws you to sideshows?
I don't like normal people.
Burlesque dresses, stuff like that.
Okay. Do you know anything about the history of sideshows?
Cultural differences.
Not a lot, no.
All right. Have you ever been to Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Yes.
Several times.
Why did you go?
I like weird things. I like body mods and strange things.
The lights, the artifacts, I always thought that was really cool.
Now, you say you like the weird things. What is it that draws you to that weird?
I've always been weird as a child. You know, the Lydia Deetz quote, I guess I am strange, or, that's not it, but, you know.
Okay. Now, do you both live in Baltimore?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a sideshow performer named Johnny Eck?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for talking with us today. Could you introduce yourself and tell us why you're here?
My name's Reverend Ballentine, and I will be performing on the side stage today doing burlesque.
Now, this is a pretty good turnout. Has it always been this way with the sideshow performances?
Absolutely not. It's definitely had a resurgence in about the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. I think a lot of that is the press and play it's getting on cable television. There's lots of offshoot shows and stuff like that. I've personally been involved with it since about '89, and that was when I was in New York. I got my first taste of it in '88 at Coney Island, where obviously kind of the home of it all. And I mean, I've been interested in it for years. I took a different route getting into burlesque, which was always considered the 11th act of the show. And I do that for the comedic value, but I also do dabble in and have learned most of the sideshow arts.
Now, this is quite an old profession.
Yeah, especially the stripping aspect of it. It is. It's been around since probably the mid 18th century. It was an avenue for people with initially deformities or medical issues to make a living. Many of them were obviously not part of regular society, and so they would be adopted by people in the sideshow world and then, made money off of. They'd be marketed, which sounds terrible, but at the time there were not many alternatives for them. I personally, being part of the burlesque, that was always part of the sideshow world, and that came from the 10 and 1. There were 10 acts under the tent. We were usually the 11th act in the behind the scenes. So being the whole stripper aspect, that's probably even an older profession than the whole sideshow thing. But it's been around forever because who's not intrigued by oddities?
Now, that's interesting, the thing you said about 10 and 1. It's a structured act normally?
Well, they would call it the 10 and 1. So when you would gain admission to the tent, there would be 10 acts. 10 acts, 10 oddities, whatever it was. And it was all within one tent. So it was kind of a way, it was a pitch, it was a way to sell things. They would out front, the talker would bring people up and entice them with the 10 and 1. So they felt like they were getting a lot for their money.
Now, do you think that with the new American Horror Story coming out, are you nervous? Are you excited? How do you think that's going to fare for the sideshow?
I have mixed feelings about it. I feel like on one hand it could do what Cher and Christina's version of burlesque did to our world. But I have faith in the fact that there's really excellent writers and producers of that show, that they'll make it good. I wasn't thrilled, I'll be honest with you at first. I feel like it's kind of clinging to something that's gaining in popularity. But there is that creepy aspect to it. So it was kind of a natural thing to happen. So, I mean, I'm going to obviously watch because I'm a huge fan, but it's with mixed emotions. I feel like I just don't want them to rehash what HBO already did with Carnivalesque, which I thought they nailed it, to be honest with you. So.
And if there was something about the history that you wanted people to remember, what would it be?
Wow. That basically by supporting Sideshow, it's not politically incorrect to want to see quote-unquote freaks. It's actually supporting something and encouraging something and making people with deformities, and actually the people that perform these things, it gives them an avenue to showcase. I know many people that do this as just acts, and I also know many people that do this that have physical oddities or physical disabilities. I hate to say that because it's not, but they use it and thrive on it. And I feel like it's one of the most accepting communities that there is. Literally, look at us. We're all different. And you've got everything from the showgirls to, people up there putting things in their nose, and it's all accepted. So I do love that, and that's something I want people to take away, is it's kind of an acceptance. It's that resurgence of weirdos becoming accepted.
It's kind of weird, just in my opinion, how that for a while there were people who were on the fringes and they felt alone, and now it's coming back to more community aspects.
It is, and I think that's an amazing thing. I mean, and it's gaining in popularity and recognition, and I think there's a lot of positivity to that, because now it's a, oh, that's cool, not a, oh, we shun that or feel sorry for it kind of thing. And I mean, in every aspect. I mean, even the doing weird tricks and stuff like that. It used to be like party hat thing, and now it's actually getting treated like show business, which is really amazing to me, and it's kind of a step up in this whole aspect of the show, because it used to be you were just like, it's the party trick, and it's not. It's being seen as a skill and a true talent at this point, because it is. The people that are here are showmen. They're not, they're not just people that you're like, oh, that's cute.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you.
And good luck today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for talking with us today.
You got it, brother.
Could you introduce yourself and tell us why you're here?
My name is Cardone, and I perform magic, escape, and illusions, and I'm here to do my show. I'm part of the team here.
Now, it's a pretty good turnout. It's a lot of people here. Why do you think people are drawn to the Sideshow again?
I think everybody's got a little bit of a dark side, and the Sideshow is a glimpse of the unknown, the mysterious, the forbidden, the taboo, and I think everybody's got a little bit of that in their soul, and things like this are a little bit of an outlet for the curious. It's why Halloween's popular.
Which is right on the cusp.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what drew you to Sideshow? What got you into it?
I've been performing since I was really little, and I've been doing it ever since I can remember. What drew me, again, I was interested in the unknown, the strange, the weird, the bizarre. I was born that way. It wasn't an acquired taste. I was definitely born that way.
It just popped out that way?
That's it.
Now, you've been in it for a while. How has it changed over that time?
Interesting. Well, I think the Lollapalooza of the late 80s, early 90s brought it out of the darkness. Guys like Jim Rose, they definitely brought it out. But how has it changed as an art form? I don't think it's changed at all. I really don't think so. I mean, the same things that people were amazed about 500-600 years ago, it still works.
So this is something that, even though we're seeing it today in the modern times, this is similar to what it would be 100 years ago.
Exactly, except they wouldn't have a microphone.
They'd just be yelling really loud.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's the same thing. It means, and for me, that's proof that in here hasn't evolved yet. We're the same person. I mean, the same thing that makes a person fooled by a magic trick today is the same as it was 5,000 years ago. So.
And if there was something somebody would draw out of the Sideshow that you would want them to draw out of it, what would it be?
An appreciation for a side of life that sometimes might get looked over or disregarded as nonsense or shocking. A love for that, or not even a love, but like at least giving it recognition. We're all living, breathing human beings that have feelings and emotions, and we enjoy doing this. And most people, I think, see this and get the same out of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for talking with us today,
you,
and good luck.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for talking with us today. Could you introduce yourself?
Rob Nichols.
Okay, now, behind us is a Sideshow going on. What drew you to stop and watch the Sideshow?
It's something unique. I mean, I've seen a lot of T-shirts and tattoo boots and guitars around here, but you don't often see a guy pushing himself through a picture frame. So
Now, do you know anything about the history of sideshows?
A little bit. Nothing I come up with off the top of my head, but a little bit.
Just that it's old?
Yeah.
Okay, now have you ever been to a Ripley's Believe It or Not?
No.
Okay, and do you live in Baltimore?
No.
Okay, well, you don't live in Baltimore, but I'm just curious, have you ever heard of a sideshow performer named Johnny Eck?
I've heard the name. I think I've seen him on some kind of documentary thing or something before.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for talking with me today. Could you introduce yourselves? Yes, could you just introduce yourselves?
My name is Brandy Wooten, and I'm actually from Leonardtown, Maryland. I'm Shannon Mitchell, and I'm from Leonardtown, Maryland, too. I'm Brandy Mitchell, and I'm from Leonardtown, Maryland, too.
Thank you very much. Okay, so what draws you to the sideshow?
I think it's just the odd nature of it. You kind of want to see what's going to happen. Yeah, see what's going to happen. I used to always watch the show, so I thought I would come and visit.
Okay, do you know anything about the history of sideshows?
Not really. This has been around a long time. Not really.
Okay, have you ever been to a Ripley's Believe It or Not?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Now, why'd you go?
Well, we've been to two. The one in Baltimore and the one in South Carolina, and just the everything they have outside just kind of draws you to it. You're like, hey, let me check that out, see what's in there. Yeah, they had Bumblebee outside in Baltimore, so that's why we went. I've always watched Ripley's Believe It or Not, so I thought it would be fun.
Okay, last question. Now, you're all from Maryland.
Yes.
Do you know who Johnny Eck is?
Johnny Eck. No, I do not. Nope.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for talking with me today. Could you introduce yourself and tell us why you're here?
Thank you. Well, my name is Chris McDaniel, and I'm here as a representative of the Wild West Arts on the Ripley stage.
Now, that's a lot of people in this day and age have heard of sideshows in one way or another, but this is something that is not as prevalent as sideshows.
Right. Well, there were Wild West acts in the sideshows traditionally, but most people don't think of the Wild West acts. They were sort of the same job as the magician, where they were put in between shocking acts or freaks or something, so that people would have a chance to get their palate cleansed, and then they could shock them again.
Now, why do you continue to keep this alive?
Well, because there aren't many people doing it. I performed the two Wild West Arts with bull whips and trick roping. And bull whips are seeing a resurgence, but trick roping, which I also teach, is very, very, very difficult and takes lots and lots of hours of practice. So there aren't many people willing to invest the time that it takes to learn the skills.
So it's kind of a dying art.
Yeah, it is. We have some students who are doing great, keeping it alive, but not that many. And a lot of guys are getting old like me. So, yeah.
Are there any up-and-comers who you feel are going to be able to take the mantle?
Yeah, there are definitely some. Luke Rawlins is one of the guys. He was just on America's Got Talent this past season. He's fantastic. He's probably about the best technical roper that I know. There's also young fellows who are coming into it. Adam Winrich, who's also a crackerjack bullwhip guy. He's learning trick roping, and other young performers that I've taught myself who are up-and-comers. So there's a little bit of hope left.
Now, this is going to sound like a weird question, but why should people remember these shows?
Well, for me, the Wild West Arts in particular is kind of a strange entertainment form, because it was an entertainment form that evolved out of the skills of a workman. So it's like you don't go to see a plumber, throw wrenches in the air, but you do go see a cowboy swing a rope around. And I find that unique, and it's definitely a part of our history, the United States history, and a big part of it with Buffalo Bill, who I kind of look like, and the Wild West shows were as big as the circuses. And of course, after the Wild West shows, which were too big to keep going, after they faded away, it kept going in the sideshows and later in vaudeville. So it's important to me and to a handful of us that we keep this entertainment alive.
To me, it seems like a very uniquely American entertainment, because there's circuses all over the world. I assume there's sideshows all over the world, there's magicians all over the world, but anybody all over the world that's doing this act is really emulating the American act.
Yeah, now the trick roping, the way we do it, evolved out of a skill that the Mexicans came up with, actually, the trick roping part itself. But it came out of the cowboy culture. And bull whips, things like that, the gun spinning, the quick draw, trick riding. Now there's some of the Cossacks who do that, but it's also a United States thing. To knife throwing, tomahawk throwing, things like that, which are, it is definitely an American art form, American entertainment form. A lot of seniors remember it because they remember it from their childhood. Adults remember it to a lesser extent. And then kids like it because everybody likes cowboys and like the skill of the tricks. And so it's really an all ages entertainment.
And do you find that kids who were never exposed to it before, and you know, as you were saying, adults know it, seniors know it, but kids might not have seen this before, does this get them excited and actually asking questions about where it came from?
Yes, definitely. The kids love it always, and it goes over really well with them, even though they're not exposed to it that much. They still know what a cowboy is from recent movies like Toy Story, and so they associate it with that. But it's always been a magnet for kids. Cowboys have always been a magnet for kids. It was my entertainment when I was a kid, which is why I love it, which is why I continue it, because I don't find it that often, anymore. When I was a kid, Westerns on TV were about all you got on TV. Change the channel, it was another Western. So now, not at all.
I can't think, other than a few shows which I'm fairly certain are not for kids, I can't think of anything that's cowboy related on television.
No, and the movies, like you said, they've all been adult Westerns, what was called adult Westerns, since the 60s, 70s. We got into the more psychological Westerns, which I love and still occasionally come back around, but not to the extent it was.
Well, thank you for talking with us today, and I wish you luck, and anybody who actually gets to see one of these shows or gets the chance should definitely see it.
Well, thank you very much, and yeah, come on out and see it, because in today's world, it's definitely different.